As the Rockets imploded on the launch pad against the Lakers in last season's playoffs, it became clear a big change needed to be made. But with a contract as large as Russell Westbrook's, there were very few players that could come close to matching his gigantic salary. And you can forgive most people who had forgotten about John Wall, considering he hasn't played in the game in 2 years. But it sums up 2020 perfectly that these two would be traded for each other. So let's figure out how this will work and which team won this trade. At first glance, this trade would seem pretty fair considering the similarities in their box score output, and both rely on hyper-athleticism and speed balanced out with an inability to consistently shoot from outside, and a propensity to dominate the ball. But almost no one remembers what John Wall could do considering how long he's been out of action, so let me refresh your memory. The Wizards' offense was a bit gross in that they would run pick and rolls for Wall out top with very little movement beforehand. And as a result, it made it easy for defenses to simply go underneath screens, have the big man sink into the lane, and just dare him to take a shot from 15 feet. Because Wall hasn't been able to master proper rhythm, his release tends to be early, late, and everything in between, and at this point in his career, I don't expect it to change that much. One area of success he had in the pick and roll was in rejecting the screen, then getting downhill faster than most players in the league, where he could finish with a nice righty inside hand layup, or put it up with a left hand with overwhelming explosion that the big man defender couldn't match. But all too often, he'd settle for some sort of pull-up mid-range, which would send his field goal percentage down, related more to his shot selection than mechanics. Going to Houston, he won't get nearly the same amount of pick and rolls. It will probably resemble the reduction Russell Westbrook had in his opportunities, which were cut in half when playing alongside James Harden. As a result, I imagine Wall is going to get a lot more spot-up opportunities as he's forced to play off-ball a lot more. For the most part, Russ struggled in this role, to the point where defenses would completely ignore him to go double-team Harden and live with the result. One thing Wall brings to the table, however, is a better ability to catch and shoot from three. Believe it or not, he is a lot better at this than Westbrook. And I have to imagine he's been working even harder on this in the offseason, so expect Wall to be enough of a threat from three that defenses will not be able to give him the rush treatment. Wall has the ability to do real damage attacking from the wing on kickouts like these, but he has also struggled mightily with his finishing at the rim in the same way that Russ has, so the Rockets won't see much difference there. Where they can get a lot of use from Wall is in transition, where he is often much faster while dribbling as everyone else is without the ball. So, new coach Stephen Silas would be wise to encourage Wall to get more of his scoring opportunities in transition before they set it up, and let Harden do all the heavy lifting in the half court. That way, Wall can feel like he's getting his without needing to get in Harden's way once the ball gets set up. Over to Washington, where Russ joins Brad Beal in the backcourt, and he's probably one of the few high-scoring guards that can mesh his game with Russ as well as anyone. Toiling in relative obscurity last season, Beal turned in a dominating year, and with the team adding Westbrook, they should immediately get better and threaten for a playoff spot. I'd look for Westbrook to revert to more of his playing style in Oklahoma City, running a ton of pick and rolls and finding ways to connect with Beal for open looks. The most common way Wall set Beal up with three-pointers was in transition, as the defense would focus on stopping Wall's speed and Beal would sneak to the open area to receive the nice pass and knock down the open looks from long range. The Wizards would be wise to recreate this same kind of transition attack, generating good looks from deep as much as possible, and thereby helping lift Beal's three-point percentage, which has always been lower than you'd expect. I'm sure Russ will assume the role of traditional point guard on certain possessions when they run Beal off of pin downs to get open shots. This was a source of easy assists for Wall while Beal did all the work, and it's an established practice that shouldn't go away anytime soon. And expect the same kind of actions for Russ that Wall got in an endless series of pick and rolls out top. Here's one set that caught my eye that would be great if Russ would be willing to run it. It starts with a handoff to Beal, then Wall makes a shallow cut to the weak side to get the handoff back, right as the center is coming up to set the inside ball screen. This gave Wall an opening to attack and eventually find the kind of shot Russ is certainly comfortable taking, if not making. And this one utilizes the threat of Beal coming off screens as they set a single double for him along the baseline, but watch how the two big men screeners break up to set a double ball screen for Wall out top. This is the kind of clever offense Russ should get open looks from. There was plenty of room for Wall and Beal to coexist and get Wall plenty of isolations, and I'm sure Russ will plug himself right into those possessions as well, harkening back to his OKC days where he got to control the whole possession. It remains to be seen how well this will work with Beal, who's one of the nicest and most complimentary players in the league. If Russ can be efficient enough in these plays and find Beal enough to satisfy his need to eat, then Washington will certainly have a vastly improved record and threaten to grab that 8th spot. The first round pick that goes to Houston doesn't even become a thing for 2 whole seasons, and by that time, the Wizards could be in complete rebuild mode, meaning the protections on the pick will keep it from the Rockets for several years and perhaps ultimately become 2 second-round picks in 2027. That seems like the most likely scenario, meaning the way to truly evaluate this trade is by the performance of Russ versus Wall. Wall is a better fit in Houston than Westbrook was, and if he can stay healthy at all, which is a big if considering how often he drives hard to the hole and ends up falling down perilously, then I say the Rockets should get the most bang for their buck. But I just don't think bringing in a battered Boogie Cousins and a promising Christian Wood is going to get them any farther than they've been the last couple of seasons. And if it becomes clear it's not working through the first 25 games of the season, be prepared to see Harden blast off in a blockbuster trade as Houston rebuilds with a new coach, a new GM, and in search of a new star. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your comments below. We'll have tons of content during the offseason for you, so stay tuned and get your notifications set to alert you right away. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?